It was supposed to be a video for her ex. But the new intern sent it to the billionaire boss by mistake, and his reaction the next day left her speechless. Before we start the story, leave in the comments which city you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate the story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story, everyone. Harper Lane was about to spill coffee on a $1 million Persian rug when she realized that maybe this internship wasn't such a good idea. The cup trembled in her hand. The dark liquid swayed dangerously close to the edge. Harper froze in the middle of the glass hallway, surrounded by executives who walked with firm and confident steps, while she looked like a flamingo balancing on one leg, trying not to cause a disaster on her first day of work. "Are you okay?" Harper turned her head too quickly. Samantha Price was beside her, holding a folder and smiling in that way that only longtime friends can smile when they see you about to ruin your own life. "I'm great," Harper replied, forcing a smile. "Just practicing my corporate balancing technique." Samantha laughed quietly and guided Harper away from the valuable rug. "Come on, let's get to your desk before you destroy something irreparable." Harper sighed with relief and followed her friend down the hallway. The company building was everything she had imagined and then some. Glass walls everywhere, mountain views in the background, modern furniture that looked like it came straight out of a design magazine, well-dressed people walking back and forth, speaking in codes that Harper didn't understand yet. Everything screamed success, power, money, and Harper? Well, Harper screamed, "Help, I don't know what I'm doing here." She had arrived in San Mateo the night before, after an exhausting trip, carrying 2 suitcases and a huge fear of making a gigantic mistake. The internship position had appeared unexpectedly. Samantha had been working there for 2 years and kept insisting that this was the chance of Harper's lifetime. "It's Silicon Valley, Harper," Samantha had said on the phone weeks ago. "You can't waste this. This opportunity is unique." Harper wasn't so sure. She had a reasonably comfortable life on the East Coast. A peaceful job in a small office, a predictable routine, and yes, a problematic ex-boyfriend named Ellison Reed, who had turned the last 6 months into an unnecessary soap opera. But other than that, everything was fine. But Samantha didn't accept no as an answer. And now Harper was there, in the heart of Silicon Valley, about to start something that seemed too big for her. Samantha stopped in front of a workstation near the window. "This is your desk. Computer is already set up. Temporary password is on this paper. Orientation meeting starts in 15 minutes in the conference room on the 10th floor." Harper placed her bag on the chair and looked around. The desk was clean, organized, and completely impersonal. No photos, no decorations, nothing that showed a real human being worked there. "It feels like I'm invading someone's space," Harper murmured. "You are. The last intern left last week. Lasted 3 months. Samantha patted her shoulder. "But you'll last longer. I know it." Harper wasn't so sure. She sat in the chair, turned on the computer, and typed in the temporary password. The screen lit up showing the company logo, a minimalist design in blue and white that probably cost a fortune to create. Around her, other employees worked in silence. Nobody laughed out loud. Nobody made jokes. It was all so serious, so professional, so different from any place where Harper had worked before. She took a deep breath and opened the corporate email. 17 unread messages, all sent that morning, all with subjects that seemed urgent. Harper clicked on the first one. Subject: Security Protocols, Mandatory Reading. She sighed. It was going to be a long day. The clock on the screen showed 8:45. Harper stood up, grabbed a notepad and a pen, and followed the instructions Samantha had given to get to the conference room. The building was a maze of identical hallways, glass doors, and minimalist signs that didn't help much with directions. After turning down the wrong hallway twice, Harper finally found the right room. 5 other interns were already seated, all looking equally nervous and lost. Harper chose a chair in the middle of the room and sat down, trying to look more confident than she really was. She observed the others. A blonde boy who kept messing with his phone. A girl with glasses who had already filled 2 pages of notes, even though nobody had said anything yet. A tall guy who looked out the window with a bored expression, all young. All clearly out of their comfort zone. A man in a gray suit walked in, carrying a tablet. He had that posture that important people always have, shoulders back, chin up, decisive steps. Good morning. I'm Richard Moss, Human Resources Manager. Welcome to Sinclair Technologies. The presentation began. Internal policies, confidentiality agreements, performance expectations, benefits, schedules, codes of conduct. Harper tried to pay attention. She really tried. But her mind started to wander after the first 15 minutes. She observed the room. The chairs were comfortable. The table, huge. The screen on the wall showed graphs and numbers that probably made sense to someone. Everything there breathed efficiency and organization. Harper wondered if she could fit into that environment. If she could be so organized, so focused, so perfect. Any questions? Richard asked, finally ending the presentation. Total silence. Harper looked around. Nobody raised their hand. Nobody said anything. Everyone seemed to have perfectly absorbed every word said in the last 40 minutes. Harper slowly raised her hand, feeling her face heat up. Richard pointed at her. Yes? Where's the bathroom? Muffled laughter echoed through the room. The girl with glasses let out a cough that was clearly a disguised laugh. The blond boy smiled. The tall guy finally seemed interested in something. Richard smiled for the first time since he had entered the room. Hallway to the left, third door. Thank you, Harper murmured, wishing the floor would open up and swallow her. Great. First day, and she had already become the intern who asks where the bathroom is in an orientation meeting. When the meeting ended, Harper practically ran out of the room. Samantha found her in the hallway, holding 2 bottles of water. I heard you stole the show in there. Harper took one of the bottles. I asked a normal question. You asked where the bathroom is in a meeting about corporate policies. I needed to know. Samantha laughed. Relax. You broke the ice. Now the other interns think you're human. That's good. Human and desperate. Better than robotic and perfect. Harper drank the water, trying to calm down. The day had barely started, and she was already emotionally exhausted. Samantha guided her back to the desk. The rest of the morning passed in a fog of forms, documents, and training videos. Harper signed papers she barely read, watched presentations about business ethics and information security, and tried to memorize names of people she would probably never see again. Around noon, Samantha appeared again. Lunchtime. Come on, I'll show you the cafeteria. Harper saved the document she was filling out and followed her friend. The cafeteria was on the 13th floor, and it was surprising. It didn't look like a corporate cafeteria. It looked like a fancy restaurant. Wooden tables, upholstered chairs, food stations with real chefs preparing dishes on the spot. It's all free, Samantha explained. One of the best benefits. Harper grabbed a tray and chose a salad, a juice, and a piece of bread. She was still afraid of dropping something and causing a scene. The two sat near the window. The view was incredible. You could see the mountains in the distance, the cloudless blue sky, the city spreading out below. So, what do you think so far? Samantha asked, sticking her fork into her own salad. Honestly, I'm terrified. Normal. I felt that way too in the beginning, but you'll get used to it, I promise. Harper moved the food around with her fork. Everyone here seems to know exactly what they're doing. Nobody knows. Everyone just pretends really well. You're trying to make me feel better. I am. Is it working? Harper smiled. A little. Samantha pointed with her fork to the other side of the cafeteria. See that woman in the blue blazer? Marketing manager. Crying in the bathroom last week because she messed up a presentation. The guy with the gray beard over there? Director of operations. Forgot his own computer password 3 times last month. The girl with the red hair? Senior analyst. Dropped her phone in the toilet yesterday. Harper laughed for real this time. How do you know all this? Because I pay attention. And because everyone here is human, Harper. They just look perfect from a distance. Harper felt a little better. Maybe she really could survive there. Maybe it wasn't as impossible as it seemed. After lunch, Harper returned to her desk and spent the afternoon organizing files, answering welcome emails, and watching more training videos. At 5 in the afternoon, when most people started putting things away, Harper allowed herself to relax. She had survived. The first day. Without causing any irreparable disaster. Samantha passed by her desk. Survived? Barely. Counts as a victory. Shall we go home? Let's go. The two grabbed their bags and headed to the elevator. On the way, Harper observed the office once more. It still seemed intimidating. It still seemed too big for her. But maybe, just maybe, she could find her place there. When they arrived at the apartment they shared, Harper threw her bag on the couch and let herself fall into the kitchen chair. "I survived," she murmured. Samantha appeared holding 2 bottles of water. "You survived, and tomorrow will be easier." Harper took the bottle and drank half of it at once. "Do you really think I can do this?" Samantha sat beside her. "I wouldn't have dragged you here if I didn't think so. You're smart, funny, and you work hard. You just need to believe in yourself a little more." Harper smiled, tired but grateful. "Thanks for not giving up on me." "Never. We're a team." The two clinked their bottles in an improvised toast. Harper looked out the apartment window, seeing the city lights beginning to turn on. San Mateo was beautiful. Different. Full of possibilities. Maybe this internship really was a good idea. Maybe she really could make this work. Harper ended the day with a strange feeling of hope mixed with fear. Something big was starting. She felt it in her bones. What Harper didn't know, as she fell asleep that night, was that the seemingly ordinary beginning was already completely out of control. And in a few days, everything would change irreversibly. Harper managed not to drop anything on the second day. Progress. She arrived at the office at 7:45, 15 minutes early, carrying a coffee she had bought at the corner coffee shop. This time her hands weren't shaking. This time she knew where the bathroom was. Small victories. Samantha was already at her desk, typing something at impressive speed. "Look who woke up early," she said without taking her eyes off the screen. "Turning corporate already?" "I'm turning paranoid," Harper corrected, sitting at her own desk. "I was afraid of being late and getting fired on the second day." "Nobody gets fired for being late here, just silently judged by the whole team." Harper laughed and turned on the computer. The screen lit up, showing dozens of new emails. She sighed. "Why are there so many messages? I haven't even done anything yet." Welcome to the corporate world. Emails multiply on their own during the night. It's like black magic. Harper started reading the messages. Most were about mandatory training, security policies, and reminders about deadlines. Nothing urgent, nothing that made her panic. She spent the morning organizing files, answering emails, and trying to understand the company's internal system. It was complicated, full of tabs and subcategories, but gradually it was starting to make sense. Around 10 o'clock, a guy passed by her desk carrying a box of donuts. "Anyone want one?" Left over from the 8th floor meeting. Harper raised her hand immediately. "I'll take anything free." The guy laughed and offered the box. Harper took a chocolate-covered donut and bit into it with exaggerated satisfaction. "Thank you. You just saved my morning." "You're welcome. I'm Jason, from the design team. Harper, new intern. Welcome to organized chaos." Jason continued down the hallway, offering donuts to other people. Harper chewed slowly, observing the environment. People seemed more relaxed today, less tense, or maybe she was the one who was less tense. Samantha appeared beside her holding a folder. "Come with me. I'm going to introduce you to the people in the operations department." Harper wiped the donut crumbs and followed her friend. They passed through several hallways, greeted at least 15 people, and entered a room full of monitors and colorful graphs. "Everyone, this is Harper. New intern. Be nice to her." A man with a gray beard waved from his swivel chair. "Hi, Harper. Survived the first day?" "Barely." He laughed. "Honesty. I like that. I'm Greg. If you need help with reports, just holler. I'll be hollering a lot then." More laughter. Harper started to feel that maybe she really could fit in there. When they returned to the desk, Samantha patted her shoulder. "See? Not as scary as it looks. I still think it's scary. I'm just pretending better." That's the corporate spirit. The afternoon went by quickly. Harper answered more emails, watched a training video about business ethics, and even managed to finish a basic report without needing to ask for help 3 times. At 5 in the afternoon, when she was about to turn off the computer, Samantha appeared beside her with a suspicious smile. "So, Friday night, plans?" Harper frowned. "Sleep 12 hours straight?" "Wrong, you're going out with me." "Samantha, I'm exhausted." "Exactly why. You need to relax, meet people, celebrate the fact that you're surviving." Harper hesitated. The idea of going out after 2 intense days of work didn't seem appealing, but Samantha had that determined look that meant she wouldn't accept no as an answer. "Just a quiet outing," Samantha insisted. "Nothing crazy, I promise. You always say that and it's never true. This time is different. Trust me." Harper sighed, defeated. "Okay, but if I wake up with a hangover, it's your fault. I accept full responsibility." On Friday, Harper spent the day trying not to think about the outing that night. She had important things to do, reports to review, emails to answer, coffee to drink, and worrying amounts. In the middle of the afternoon, while carrying documents to the 12th floor, Harper saw something that made her stop in the hallway. Elliot Sinclair. He was coming out of a conference room, accompanied by 2 men in suits. Tall, upright posture, serious expression. Dark hair perfectly combed. He was wearing a very well-fitted light-colored suit and wearing shoes that were relatively reflecting the light from the floor. Harper stood still, half hidden behind a column, watching. He spoke quietly, gestured little, seemed completely in control. The other 2 men listened attentively, writing things down on tablets. Then Elliot looked in her direction. Harper froze. Her heart raced. She didn't know if he actually saw her or if he was just looking at nothing, but either way, it was intimidating. He turned and went down the opposite hallway, disappeared behind another glass door. Harper let out the air she didn't know she was holding. Urban legend confirmed. The guy was real. And scary. When she returned to her desk, Samantha noticed her expression. "What happened? You look like you saw a ghost." "I saw Sinclair." Samantha's eyes widened. "Really? Up close?" "Relatively close. He was in the hallway on the 12th floor." "And how was it?" "Intimidating. Serious. Unapproachable. Exactly as you described." Samantha laughed. "Welcome to the club of people who have seen the corporate unicorn." Harper rolled her eyes but smiled. At least now she could say she had seen the company's CEO, even if from a distance, even if for only 10 seconds. When work ended, Samantha dragged Harper to the apartment to get ready. "Wear something comfortable," Samantha instructed. "Nothing too formal. We're going to a casual place." Harper chose jeans and a simple blouse. Samantha approved. "Perfect. Now let's celebrate the fact that you survived your first week." Harper looked in the mirror. For the first time in months, she felt different, lighter, more hopeful. Maybe San Mateo really was the fresh start she needed. Maybe it was time to leave Ellison Reed in the past once and for all. She grabbed her bag, locked the apartment, and followed Samantha into the night. What could go wrong with a simple celebration? Harper smiled, confident. She was about to discover that sometimes a quiet night can change absolutely everything. The music was so loud that Harper felt the beat in her chest before she even entered the bar. Samantha pulled her by the hand, smiling as if she was about to present paradise. The place was small, full of young people, colorful lights, and energy that seemed contagious. Harper hesitated for a second at the door, but then Samantha pushed her inside. "Relax. It's just a night of fun." Harper let the tension from the week slide off her shoulders. Maybe Samantha was right. Maybe she really needed this. They found a space near the bar. Samantha ordered 2 drinks with complicated names that Harper didn't even try to pronounce. When the glasses arrived, colorful and decorated with fruit, Harper raised hers. To surviving the first week, to not spilling coffee on expensive rugs. Samantha completed laughing. They clinked their glasses and drank. The liquid was sweet, refreshing, and definitely stronger than it looked. Harper made a face. "What's in this?" "I'm not sure either, but it has fruit, and fruit is good." The night started slowly. Loose conversations, easy laughter, embarrassing office stories. Samantha told about the time she had sent an email complaining about her boss to the boss himself by mistake. Harper almost spit out her drink from laughing so hard. "How do you still work there?" Charm and the ability to make the boss think it was the system's fault. "You're my hero." More drinks arrived. Harper lost count after the 3rd one. The environment got warmer, more colorful, more alive. The music changed to something danceable, and Samantha dragged Harper to the makeshift dance floor in the middle of the bar. "I don't know how to dance," Harper shouted over the music. "Nobody here knows. That's the point." Harper laughed and let herself go. She swung her arms, moved her hips, made movements that probably looked horrible, but at that moment seemed perfect. Samantha danced beside her, laughing out loud, completely free. For the first time in months, Harper didn't think about Ellison Reed, didn't think about the horrible breakup, didn't think about the pathetic messages he had sent afterward, didn't think about anything except the present moment. And then Samantha had a brilliant idea. Or terrible. It depended on your point of view. "Harper," she shouted, holding her phone. "Record a video." "What?" "Record. Send it to that jerk Ellison. Show him you're living your best life." Harper hesitated, but the music was loud and the idea seemed strangely liberating. "Really? Really? Symbolic closure. You deserve it." Harper grabbed her own phone. The screen glowed in her hand. Samantha adjusted the angle, put Harper in the center and shouted, 3, 2, 1. Harper danced, moved her shoulders, smiled at the camera, did an improvised choreography that was half confidence and half chaos. Samantha shouted encouragements in the background, clapping. The video lasted 15 seconds. Short, silly, completely harmless. Harper stopped recording and looked at the screen, laughing. "It looks terrible. It looks perfect. Now send it." Harper opened the messaging app. Her fingers moved automatically, still somewhat uncoordinated from the dance movements she was still doing. She typed the first letters of the name, ELLI. The contact list appeared. Several names started with Ellie. Harper scrolled quickly, saw a name that seemed right and clicked. She attached the video, typed a short message, "Look who's doing fine without you," and pressed send. The phone made a soft sound confirming the message was sent. Harper threw the device in her bag without thinking twice. Done. Official liberation. Samantha raised her glass. "You're amazing. Now forget that guy once and for all." Harper toasted, feeling a wave of satisfaction. Ellison Reed was finally in the past, officially, symbolically. Definitely. The night continued. More music, more laughter, more stories. Harper danced until her feet hurt, laughed until her stomach hurt. Around midnight, Samantha announced they needed to leave before they turned into pumpkins. Harper agreed, getting up and heading toward the exit. The cold night air hit her face like a refreshing breeze. Harper took a deep breath, feeling the music fade behind her. "That was necessary," she said, holding onto Samantha's arm. "I know, you needed to let loose. Thanks for dragging me here. That's what friends are for." They got a rideshare. Harper rested her head against the window, watching the city lights pass by. Everything seemed more beautiful at night, softer, more full of possibilities. When they got to the apartment, Harper could barely take off her shoes before falling into bed so exhausted. In the room, already under the covers, she closed her eyes and sighed. "Good night, new world," she murmured to the ceiling. Samantha appeared in the doorway. "Sleep well, champion." Harper smiled and turned on her side. Sleep came quickly, heavy, without dreams. She slept deeply, convinced she had done something brave, something liberating, something that finally put the past in the place where it belonged. The phone was forgotten inside her bag, thrown on the floor beside the bed. The screen lit up once during the early morning hours. A silent notification appeared. Viewed. But Harper didn't see it, didn't hear it, had no idea. The mistake had already happened. And on Monday, reality would come to collect. Monday arrived with blue skies and a strange feeling that Harper couldn't identify. She entered the office at 7:50, coffee in hand, clear head, ready to start the week. The weekend had been exactly what she needed. Fun, freedom, and a symbolic closure with Ellison Reed that left her feeling lighter. Harper turned on the computer, answered some emails, and organized the documents from the previous week. Everything normal. Everything predictable. Until it wasn't anymore. At 9:15 in the morning, the back elevator opened. Harper was getting more coffee when she heard the sudden silence that took over the floor. That type of silence that makes everyone stop typing at the same time. She turned her head. Elliot Sinclair was coming out of the elevator. Harper almost dropped her coffee. Again. "He never comes up here," someone whispered behind her. "Must be a meeting on the 12th floor," another replied quietly. But Elliot didn't go to the conference room. He walked straight down the hallway, looking around with that serious and calculated expression that made everyone shrink a little. He stopped, looked at Harper's desk, and started walking toward her. Harper felt her stomach drop. She ran back to her own desk, pretending to be extremely busy with something very important on the computer screen, which was actually an email about air conditioning maintenance. Elliot stopped behind her chair. Miss Lane? Harper turned the chair slowly, forcing a professional smile. Mr. Sinclair, good morning. I need a report on the third quarter data. Consolidated, comparative with the second quarter. On my desk by 4 in the afternoon. Harper blinked. Excuse me, the third quarter report? Wouldn't the supervisor be the one who? You, Elliot interrupted firmly. 4 in the afternoon. And he turned his back, returning to the elevator without waiting for an answer. Harper remained paralyzed, staring at the empty space where he had been seconds before. What just happened? Samantha appeared beside her in 2 seconds. What was that? I don't know, Harper whispered, still in shock. He asked for a report, directly from me. That's strange. You think? Samantha frowned. He never does that. Always goes through the supervisor. Always. Harper looked at the clock. 9:20. She had less than 7 hours to do a report. She didn't even know how to start. I'm going to get fired, she murmured. You won't. Breathe. I'll help you. The two spent the entire morning putting together the report. Samantha explained where to find the data, how to consolidate the information, and what format to use. Harper typed, reviewed, checked 3 times, and still thought something was missing. At 3:45, she saved the final file, printed a copy, and headed to the executive floor with trembling legs. Elliot's secretary received her with a polite smile. You can leave it here. I'll give it to him. Thank you. Harper returned to her desk thinking she had survived. Wrong. At 4:30, her desk phone rang. Internal number. Executive floor. She answered with a somewhat shaky voice. Hello? Miss Lane, I need a revision on the report. Add the first quarter data for complete comparison. Tomorrow, 10 in the morning. Click. Harper looked at the phone as if it had just insulted her. Samantha noticed her expression. Let me guess. More work? Revision. Additional data. Tomorrow morning. Seriously? Harper threw her head back, looking at the ceiling. I did something wrong in a past life. I'm sure of it. Or you impressed someone. It doesn't feel like I impressed anyone. It feels like I'm being tested. Maybe that's exactly what it is. Harper spent the night in the apartment, laptop open, adding the data that Elliot had requested. Samantha brought pizza and soda, sitting beside her at the kitchen table. This is crazy, Samantha said, biting a piece of pizza. He never does this with interns. Maybe he thinks I'm incompetent and is trying to break me before firing me. Or he found you competent and is really testing you. Harper snorted. Optimism isn't your strong suit, Sam. Realism either, apparently. On Tuesday, Harper delivered the revision. At 10 o'clock sharp, straight to Elliot's desk through the secretary. She returned to her own desk thinking it was finally over. Wrong again. 2 hours later, Elliot appeared on the floor. Again, Harper felt all eyes turned to her when he stopped in front of her desk. Miss Lane? Conference room 3. 5 minutes. He left before she could answer. Harper looked at Samantha with panic in her eyes. What do I do? Go, and take a notepad. Looks more professional. Harper grabbed the notepad, the pen, and walked to the conference room as if she were going to her own execution. When she entered, Elliot was already seated, looking at a tablet. Sit down. Harper sat. Elliot slid the tablet toward her. These numbers are inconsistent. Explain. Harper looked at the screen, saw the data, saw the error, and for the first time since everything started, she knew exactly what to say. There's a typing error here, she pointed. The system duplicated this line. If you remove it, the numbers match. Elliot took the tablet back, looked, checked, nodded once, good eye, and left the room. Harper remained alone, blinking at the empty chair, trying to process what had just happened. When she returned to her desk, Samantha was waiting. So? He tested me, and I think I passed? See, I told you. Harper sat down, still confused. Why is he doing this? I don't know, but clearly you caught his attention. Harper didn't know if that was good or bad. But one thing was certain. Elliot Sinclair was watching. Closely. And for some reason she couldn't understand. He had decided she was worth his attention. The question was, why? Harper was certain that Elliot Sinclair was trying to turn her into dust. Wednesday, 7:30 in the morning. She hadn't even finished turning on the computer when the email arrived. Subject, performance analysis, urgent, from Elliot Sinclair to Harper Lane. I need a complete analysis of performance indicators for the last 6 months. Graphs, tables, conclusions. Noon. Harper looked at the clock. 4.5 hours, to do 6 months of analysis. She let her forehead fall on the desk with a dull thud. Samantha passed by her carrying a cup of coffee. Are you okay? No, officially. You can start planning my funeral. Dramatic. What happened now? Harper lifted her head and showed the email. Samantha read it, frowned. That's a week's worth of work. He wants it by noon. He's crazy. Or he hates me. Probably both. Samantha pulled up a chair and sat beside her. Look, I don't know what's going on, but you need to talk to him. This isn't normal. Talk to him? Harper repeated, as if Samantha had suggested she jump off a building. Talk to the billionaire CEO who clearly decided I'm the new training intern? Exactly. You've gone crazy. Maybe, but you can't keep going like this. Look at yourself. You look like you haven't slept in 3 days. Harper sighed. Samantha was right. She had spent the last few nights awake until late, reviewing reports, checking data, desperately trying not to fail. The dark circles were starting to look permanent. Okay. After I deliver this, I'll talk to him. Promise? Promise. Now let me work before he shows up here and fires me personally. Harper spent the next 4 hours in survival mode. Graphs were created, tables were filled in, conclusions were written and rewritten 3 times. When she finally saved the file at 11:45, she felt like she had run a marathon. She sent the email, took a deep breath, waited. 15 minutes later, the phone rang. Harper answered with her heart already racing. Hello? Miss Lane, executive floor. Now. Click. Samantha, who was listening to everything, made a face. Good luck. If I don't come back in an hour, call security. Harper went up in the elevator feeling her stomach turn. When the doors opened on the executive floor, she walked slowly to Elliot's office, mentally rehearsing what she was going to say. The secretary waved for her to enter. Harper knocked on the door. Once. Twice. Come in. She opened the door. Elliot was sitting behind a huge desk, looking at the computer. Didn't even look up when she entered. Sit down. Harper sat in the chair in front of the desk, her hands sweating. Elliot continued typing for another 30 seconds, then closed the laptop and finally looked at her. The report is incomplete. Harper felt her blood freeze. Incomplete? I followed all the instructions you. It lacks historical context. The numbers mean nothing without comparison to previous years. Harper opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Mr. Sinclair, with all due respect, you asked for the last 6 months. You didn't mention previous years. It should have been obvious. Obvious, Harper repeated, feeling frustration begin to boil. With all due respect, sir, none of this is being obvious to me. Elliot tilted his head slightly, as if evaluating something. Explain. Harper took a deep breath. It was now or never. You've been giving me impossible tasks with tight deadlines, reports that take days to complete in hours, revisions that change every time I deliver them. And I really don't know what I did wrong. Silence. Elliot observed her for a long moment, then leaned back in his chair. You think you did something wrong? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. The words came out louder than Harper intended. She widened her eyes, realizing she had just yelled at the CEO. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. You don't need to apologize. Harper blinked, confused. Elliot crossed his arms, his expression still serious, but something had changed in his look. You didn't do anything wrong, Miss Lane. I'm testing you. Testing? Yes, to see if you can handle pressure, if you can deliver results even when conditions aren't ideal, if you give up easily, or if you keep trying. Harper felt a wave of relief mixed with anger. So this was all a test? It was. And you didn't think it was necessary to warn me? Tests that are announced aren't real tests. Harper wanted to laugh or cry or throw something at him. But she did none of those things. Just sat there processing the information. So did I pass? Elliot almost smiled. Almost. You're passing. The test isn't over yet. Harper felt her stomach sink again. Of course not. She stood up, ready to leave, but Elliot stopped her. Miss Lane, Harper turned. Yes? You're doing well. Better than most. That should have been a compliment, but in Elliot's voice it sounded more like a sentence. Harper nodded once and left the office. When she returned to her desk, Samantha was waiting with wide eyes. So? He's testing me. Testing? Yes, apparently this is normal for him. Normal? Harper, this isn't normal. This is psychological. Harper laughed, but there was no humor in it. Welcome to my life. The rest of the week was more of the same. Urgent tasks. impossible deadlines. Elliot appearing on her floor without warning, asking for things that made Harper want to scream. On Friday afternoon, Harper was at her limit. Exhausted, frustrated, and confused. She had proven she could do it, had delivered everything he asked for. So why did he keep pushing? Samantha sat beside her at the end of the workday. You need a break. I need a new life. Saturday. No work. No thinking about Sinclair. Just the two of us. Pizza and bad movies. Harper smiled for the first time in days. That sounds perfect. But when she turned off the computer and grabbed her bag, something still bothered her. Elliot Sinclair wasn't just testing her skills. He was testing something more. And Harper had the feeling that soon she would discover exactly what. Harper had two options: confront Elliot Sinclair or request a transfer to the Alaska branch. Monday, 8 in the morning. She entered the office with a determination she didn't know where it came from. Maybe it was accumulated exhaustion. Maybe it was frustration. Or maybe it was simply the fact that she couldn't take living on that emotional roller coaster anymore. Samantha noticed her expression immediately. What are you going to do? Something probably very stupid. Details? I'm going to talk to him, for real this time. No beating around the bush. Samantha's eyes widened. Are you sure? Not at all, but if I don't do this now, I'll go crazy. Harper grabbed her bag, took a deep breath, and marched toward the elevator before her courage disappeared. When the doors opened on the executive floor, she walked straight to Elliot's office, ignoring the secretary who tried to warn her that he was busy. Harper knocked on the door. Once. Come in. She opened the door and stopped in the middle of the room, arms crossed, posture firm. Elliot looked up from the computer, surprised. Miss Lane, I don't recall scheduling a meeting. You didn't, but we need to talk. Elliot tilted his head, curious. About? About the fact that you've been driving me crazy for 2 weeks without a decent explanation. Silence. Elliot slowly closed the laptop and leaned back in his chair. Sit down. I prefer to stand. As you wish. Harper took a deep breath, trying to organize her thoughts. I did everything you asked, worked late, reviewed reports 1,000 times, accepted impossible deadlines. And still, it seems like nothing is enough. So I came here to ask directly. What do you want from me? Elliot observed her for a long moment. Then he stood up and walked to the window, hands in his pockets. What I want from you, he repeated, almost as if testing the words. Interesting. Mr. Sinclair, with all due respect, I didn't come here to play guessing games. Elliot turned to face her, and then did something Harper didn't expect. He took his phone from his pocket. Before I answer, I need to show you something. Harper frowned. Show me what? Elliot unlocked the phone, scrolled through the screen, and turned the device toward her. Harper looked, and the world stopped. It was the video. The video from the party, her dancing, smiling, completely uninhibited. The shock was so intense that Harper had to hold on to the edge of the desk to keep from stumbling. Where did you get that? You sent it to me. Friday night, around midnight. Harper felt her face heat up, then cool down, then heat up again. I didn't send it to you. You did. No, I sent it to Ellison, my ex. The names are similar, but... She stopped, looked at the screen of his phone, saw the contact name, Elliot Sinclair. Reality hit her like a train at high speed. Oh no. Oh yes. Harper covered her face with her hands, wishing the floor would open up and swallow her. I'm going to get fired. You won't. What do you mean I won't? I sent a completely inappropriate video to the company's CEO. Technically, yes. Technically? Harper let her hands fall, looking at him with genuine panic. Mr. Sinclair, I'm dying of embarrassment here. Can you at least pretend you're angry? Elliot almost smiled. I wasn't angry. Then what were you? Intrigued. Harper blinked. Intrigued? Yes. You spent the entire week here being polite, professional, cautious. And then, suddenly, I received this video showing a completely different version of you. Brave, authentic, bold. Harper felt her face heat up even more. I was just being normal. You were being free, Elliot corrected. And I wanted to know if that person also existed at work. So you decided to torture me with impossible tasks? I decided to test if you had real courage or if it was just a facade. Harper opened her mouth, closed it, didn't know whether to laugh or scream. This is completely insane. Maybe, but it worked. It worked? I almost had a nervous breakdown. Elliot took 2 steps toward her, his expression finally softening. You survived. More than that, you stood out. Most interns would have quit in the first week. Harper crossed her arms, still processing everything. So let me see if I understand. You saw an embarrassing video of me, decided I was interesting, and spent 2 weeks testing me as if I were some kind of scientific experiment? In summary, yes. Harper let out an incredulous laugh. You're crazy, perfectionist, sadistic, demanding. Impossible, Elliot smiled, for real this time. And Harper realized with a mix of horror and confusion that the smile was devastating. You're different from the other people who work here, Miss Lane. Most are afraid to confront me. You just invaded my office and called me crazy. Because you are. Maybe. But at least you're honest. Harper didn't know what to say. The whole situation was too absurd to be real. She had sent a video to her billionaire boss by mistake and, instead of being fired, was being praised. So, I still have a job? You do, if you want it. If I want it, Harper repeated, incredulous. Of course I want it. I just don't want to be a guinea pig for your psychological tests anymore, Elliot laughed quietly. No promises. Harper rolled her eyes but felt relief wash over her like a wave. She wasn't going to be fired. She had survived. Somehow crazy and completely unexpected, she had survived. She turned to leave but stopped at the door. Mr. Sinclair? Yes? Can you delete the video? Elliot tilted his head, thoughtful. I can, but it would be a shame. Harper felt her face heat up again. Please delete it. As you wish. She left the office, closed the door, and leaned against it for a second, trying to process everything that had happened. The embarrassment was still there, but something else was too. Something she couldn't name. When she returned to her desk, Samantha was waiting like a vulture. So? Do you still work here? I do. Did he fire you? No, he tested me. What? Harper sat down, still dazed. It's a long story, and you won't believe it. But as she told Samantha everything, a certainty grew inside Harper. The mistake that should have destroyed her career had just changed absolutely everything. And she didn't know if that was good or terrible. Harper was trying very, very hard not to look at Elliot Sinclair. The problem was that he was in the conference room, with her, alone, reviewing a report that could perfectly well have been reviewed by email. This projection is conservative, Elliot said, pointing to the graph on the screen. Harper forced her eyes to focus on the monitor and not on his arm that was dangerously close to hers. I preferred to be cautious. Better to underestimate than to overpromise. Interesting. Interesting good or interesting bad? Elliot turned his head. His eyes met hers, and stayed there, for 2 seconds longer than would be professional. Interesting, insightful. Harper felt her face heat up. Again, she was beginning to think she needed a portable fan just for meetings with him. Right. So, can I go? You can. But neither of them moved. Harper realized she was holding her breath. She let the air out slowly and stood up too quickly. The chair spun and hit the table with a loud noise. Sorry. Elliot raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Just watched as she left the room as if she were fleeing from a fire. When she returned to her desk, Samantha was waiting with that expression that meant trouble. You're red. I'm hot. The room has air conditioning. Then I have a fever, the flu, something contagious. Leave me alone. Samantha crossed her arms, smiling. He's flirting with you. Harper almost spit out her coffee. What? No, he's not. Harper, everyone noticed. Everyone who? Me, Jason, Monica from HR, Greg from operations, literally everyone. Harper buried her face in her hands. This is horrible. Why is it horrible? He's attractive, rich, powerful. And my boss, Harper whispered loudly. My billionaire boss who found out I sent him an embarrassing video and now is interested? Driving me crazy on purpose. Samantha laughed. You like him? I don't. Yes, you do. No. Then why are you red again? Harper threw a pen at her. Samantha dodged, still laughing. The rest of the week was torture. Elliot started showing up more. Not to ask for impossible tasks. Just to show up, talk, make comments that seemed perfectly innocent but carried something more between the lines. On Tuesday, he stopped at her desk with coffee. I heard you like caramel. Harper looked at the extended cup as if it were a trap. How do you know that? Observation. That's slightly scary, or thoughtful. I'll stick with scary. But she took the coffee and drank it, and it was perfect. On Wednesday, they ran into each other in the hallway. Elliot was holding a folder. Harper was holding 3 folders, a laptop, and a box of paper clips that someone had asked her to get. "Need help?" he asked. "No, I'm perfectly balanced." At that moment, the box of paper clips slipped. Elliot caught it before it fell. "Perfectly," he repeated with a minimal smile at the corner of his mouth. Harper felt her ears heat up. "Thank you. You're welcome, Miss Lane." And he continued down the hallway, leaving Harper standing there trying to remember how legs worked. On Thursday, the situation got worse, or better. Harper didn't know anymore. She was in the break room, heating lunch in the microwave, when Elliot walked in, alone, for no apparent reason. "Mr. Sinclair," Harper greeted, too formal for someone who was heating instant noodles. "Harper." She almost dropped her fork. He never called her by her first name. "You just called me Harper. It's your name." "I know, but you always call me Miss Lane." "Always" is a strong word. It's been what, 3 weeks? 3 weeks and 4 days, not that I'm counting. Elliot grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge, but didn't leave. He leaned against the counter, watching her. "You're adapting well." "Thank you?" It wasn't a question. Then was it a compliment? It was an observation. Harper rolled her eyes. "You're very hard to figure out, you know that?" "Good. Keeps things interesting." The microwave beeped. Harper grabbed the container that was too hot, made a face, and almost dropped it. Elliot held her arm to stabilize her. Careful. His hand was warm, firm, and remained there for 2 seconds longer than necessary. Harper looked at him. He looked back. The air in the break room seemed to get thinner. "I need to get back to my desk," Harper said, her voice coming out lower than intended. "Of course." But neither of them moved. It was Elliot who finally took a step back, his hands returning to his pockets. "Enjoy your lunch, Harper." She left the break room in quick steps, her heart beating irregularly. When she returned to her desk, Samantha was already waiting with that look. "No. I didn't even say anything." "You don't need to. It's all over your face." "Samantha, I swear nothing is happening. Yet." Harper threw her head back. "This is a terrible idea. He's my boss. I'm an intern. There are rules, HR policies, common sense. There's also chemistry, and you two have so much you could start a fire." "You're not helping." "I'm not trying to help. I'm trying to make you admit the obvious." Harper bit her lip. Because Samantha was right. Something was changing. The conversations had subtext. The looks lasted longer. The professional tension was mixing with something she didn't want to name. On Friday afternoon, Harper was leaving the building when she saw Elliot in the parking lot. He was leaning against his car, looking at his phone. She could turn the other way. Pretend she didn't see him. Avoid another interaction loaded with confusing meanings. But then he looked up and smiled. Not the polite smile from meetings. Not the calculated business smile. A real smile. That reached his eyes. Harper felt something turn over in her chest. She waved. He waved back. And in that moment, Harper knew the control she was trying to maintain was slipping through her fingers. And with each passing day, it became harder to remember why this was a bad idea. Harper realized something was wrong when Monica from HR stopped making eye contact with her. Monday, 8:15 in the morning. Harper passed the receptionist with a casual wave. Monica immediately looked away, and pretended to be very busy with papers on her desk. Strange. Harper headed to the elevator. 2 guys from the IT department were waiting. When she got close, they stopped talking abruptly. One of them coughed. The other looked at the floor. Very strange. The elevator doors opened. Harper entered. The 2 guys entered as well, but positioned themselves in the opposite corner, as far away from her as possible. Harper frowned. What was happening? When she arrived on the 12th floor, the atmosphere didn't improve. On the contrary, she walked to her desk and noticed something impossible to ignore. People were looking at her. And when she looked back, they quickly looked away, whispering among themselves. Samantha wasn't at her desk yet. Harper turned on the computer, trying to ignore the growing feeling of discomfort. Jason from design passed by her carrying a clipboard, made eye contact, smiled in a strange way, half embarrassed, half amused. "Good morning, Harper." "Good morning?" He kept walking, but Harper heard when he whispered something to another person right after. Muffled laughter followed. Her stomach started to tighten. Samantha arrived 10 minutes later, breathless, holding a coffee. "Sorry I'm late. Had to go back to get some documents." "Sam," Harper called, her voice low. What's happening? What do you mean? People are acting strange. Samantha looked around, noticed the stares. Her expression changed immediately. Oh no. Oh no, what? Samantha pulled her chair close to Harper's desk and leaned in, whispering. Did you check your phone this morning? I did. Why? Social media? No, I don't even use it much. Sam, what's happening? Samantha bit her lip, clearly uncomfortable. Harper, there's a video going around. The world stopped. What video? But Harper already knew. Of course she knew. There was only one video that could cause this kind of reaction. No, she whispered. No. How? I don't know. Someone posted it in a company group, and now everyone's seen it. Harper felt her face get hot, then cold, then hot again. Her hands started shaking. Everyone. Most people. I'm sorry, Harper. Harper stood up so quickly that the chair almost tipped over. She needed to get out of there, needed air, needed anything that wasn't that office full of people who had seen her dancing like crazy in a bar. Where are you going? Samantha asked. Bathroom or home? Haven't decided yet. Harper walked quickly through the hallways, keeping her head down. Every look felt like a stab. Every whisper, a new humiliation. She pushed open the door to the women's bathroom and locked herself in a stall. She breathed, tried to breathe, but the air wouldn't come in right. How had this happened? How had the video gotten out of Elliot's phone and ended up in the hands of half the office? Elliot. The answer came like a punch to the stomach. Elliot had shown her the video, said he had received it, said he was intrigued. But what if he had lied? What if he had spread it? What if all of that had been just a cruel game? The trust Harper had started to feel crumbled like a house of cards. She came out of the stall, washed her face with cold water, and looked at her own reflection in the mirror. Her eyes were red, her makeup smudged. She looked exactly how she felt, defeated. When she returned to her desk, Harper avoided looking at anyone. She sat down, opened the computer, and started working, or pretending to work. The words on the screen didn't make sense. The numbers didn't either. Samantha tried to talk 3 times. Harper responded with monosyllables. Are you okay? I am. Want to go out for lunch? No, Harper. Samantha, please, I just need some time. At 11 o'clock, the email arrived. Subject meeting from Elliot Sinclair to Harper Lane. My office, noon. Harper read it again, felt anger rise in her throat, of course. Now he wanted to talk. After ruining her reputation, after turning her into a joke, she didn't respond. At noon, the phone rang. Internal number. Executive floor. Harper answered with the coldest voice she could muster. Hello, Miss Lane, are you coming? I'm busy. Silence on the other end of the line. Then, Harper, come up here, now. She hung up. Samantha's eyes widened. You just hung up on him? I did. Harper, are you going crazy? Probably. 5 minutes later, Elliot appeared on the floor. In person. Walking straight to her desk with an expression that mixed confusion and irritation. Miss Lane, a word. I'm busy. You're not? How do you know? Because you've been looking at a blank screen for 15 minutes. Harper closed the laptop forcefully. What do you want? The people around stopped pretending they weren't listening. Everyone was listening. Elliot noticed. Took a deep breath. Conference room. Now. Harper stood up, grabbed her bag, and followed him. But not because he had ordered it. Because she had things to say, and she was going to say them all. The conference room was empty. Elliot closed the door. Harper crossed her arms, keeping her distance. You spread the video, she said, straight to the point. Elliot frowned. What? The video. You spread it. Everyone saw it. Everyone is laughing at me. And you did this. Harper, I didn't. Don't lie. Her voice came out louder than intended. You were the only person who had access. How else would it have leaked? Elliot took a step toward her, hands raised in a pacifying gesture. I didn't spread the video, I swear. Swear? Harper laughed, but there was no humor in it. Why should I believe you? Because I have no reason to do that. You had the video. You showed it to me. And now suddenly it's in a company group? How do you explain that? Elliot ran his hand through his hair, clearly frustrated. I don't know how it leaked, but it wasn't me. Of course it wasn't. Harper? You know what's worse? She interrupted, feeling her eyes burn. I was starting to trust you. I thought that maybe you were different, but you're not. You're just like everyone else. You use people, play with them, and then discard them. That's not true. No? Then explain to me why I'm the office joke now. You're not. Yes, I am. I saw the looks, heard the whispers. Everyone looks at me like I'm. Her voice failed. Harper pressed her hands against her eyes, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to fall. Elliot stood there, hands in his pockets, his expression softer than Harper had ever seen. I'm going to find out who did this, he said, his voice low but firm. And I'm going to fix it. You don't need to. I do. Why? Harper let her hands fall, looking at him. Why do you care? Elliot opened his mouth, closed it. He seemed to be fighting an internal battle about what to say. Because I care. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. Harper shook her head, too exhausted to keep fighting. I need to go. Harper, wait. But she was already leaving, went through the door, crossed the hallway, and returned to her desk without looking back. Samantha received her with a worried look. Are you okay? No, but I'll pretend I am until it becomes true. Harper spent the rest of the day on autopilot, answering emails, organizing files, doing everything mechanically, without thinking, without feeling. When the workday ended, she was the first to leave. No goodbyes, no looking back. On the way home, Harper felt something solidify inside her. A decision. A line being drawn. She wasn't going to let Elliot Sinclair get close anymore, wasn't going to trust anymore, wasn't going to feel whatever it was she was starting to feel. Because in the end, he had proven what she already knew. Trusting someone always ended in humiliation. And Harper was too tired to keep being everyone's joke. Harper spent all of Tuesday avoiding Elliot Sinclair. When he entered a hallway, she turned the other way. When he sent an email, she responded with one word. When he tried to call, she let it go to voicemail. Samantha watched it all with a mix of concern and frustration. Harper, you can't run from him forever. You work in the same building. I can try. He's your boss. Temporarily, as soon as I find another internship, I'm out of here. You're not leaving. I am. You won't, because you're too stubborn to let a video bring you down. Harper snorted, but didn't respond. Because Samantha was right. She wasn't going to leave. Not yet. But that didn't mean she had to talk to Elliot. On Wednesday morning, Harper's avoidance strategy encountered an obstacle. An obstacle 6'1", in a dark suit and with a determined expression. Elliot was waiting beside her desk when she arrived. Miss Lane, we need to talk. I'm busy. You're not. You arrived 5 seconds ago. Harper dropped her bag on the chair and crossed her arms. What do you want? For you to listen to me. I already listened. You said you didn't spread the video. Congratulations on the creativity. Now if you'll excuse me. Harper, he interrupted, his voice lower. Please. The please caught her off guard. Elliot Sinclair wasn't the type who asked for things with please. Harper hesitated. Then sighed. 5 minutes. Conference room. Right here. Harper. Here, or I won't talk. Elliot looked around. Several people were discreetly watching. He took a deep breath. Okay. Here. Samantha discreetly got up and went to the other side of the floor, giving them space. Elliot pulled up a chair and sat beside Harper's desk. She remained standing, keeping her distance. I didn't spread the video, he began. You already said that. And I keep saying it because it's true. Then how did it leak? You were the only person who had access. I know, and I spent the last 2 days trying to find out. Harper frowned. Find out what? Elliot took his phone from his pocket and opened an app. He scrolled through the screen and extended the device to her. Look at this. Harper took the phone reluctantly. It was a video. The video. She was about to return it when she noticed something. The angle was different. In the video she had recorded, the camera was at the height of her face. Samantha had held the phone. But this video, this one was being filmed from below, from far away, as if someone was recording from another table. Harper felt her stomach tighten. This isn't the video I sent. Exactly. But how? Elliot leaned forward, his expression serious. Someone else recorded you that night. From their own phone, and it was that person who spread it. Harper sat down slowly in the chair, still looking at the screen. Who? I'm still investigating, but I have a suspicion. What suspicion? Elliot took the phone back and opened another image. It was a screenshot of the company group where the video had been posted. The username was highlighted. Jessica Turner. Harper blinked. Jessica? The Jessica who works in marketing? The same one. But why? I barely know her. Elliot scrolled to another screenshot. It was an old photo from a corporate party. Jessica was next to a tall man, smiling at the camera. Harper looked closer, and then recognized the face. Ellison? Your ex, Elliot confirmed. They dated last year for 3 months. Harper felt the floor disappear beneath her feet. You're kidding. I'm not. I asked HR to verify. Jessica was at the same party as you on Friday, and apparently when you recorded the video, she noticed and decided to record too. But why would she spread it? Elliot shrugged. Jealousy? Revenge? Maybe she still likes Ellison and got irritated seeing you apparently provoking him. Harper covered her face with her hands. This is completely insane. It is, but it explains how the video leaked without me having any involvement. Harper let her hands fall, looking at Elliot. For the first time in days, she really looked at him, saw the tiredness in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the frustration contained in his posture. He was telling the truth. You really didn't spread it, she said, more of a statement than a question. No, I would never do that to you. But I accused you, in front of everyone. You had reasons to be suspicious. Still, I'm sorry. Elliot shook his head. You don't need to apologize, I understand. Silence for a moment. Then Harper asked, What are you going to do? I'm already doing it. I talked to HR. Jessica is going to be called in for a disciplinary meeting, and I asked them to remove the video from all internal groups. But people already saw it. They did, but they'll forget. There's always something new to gossip about. In a week, no one will remember anymore. Harper wanted to believe it, but the humiliation was still too fresh. I don't know if I can stay here knowing that everyone saw me like that. Then don't stay. Harper looked up, surprised. What? If you want to leave, I understand. I can give you an excellent letter of recommendation, help you find another position at any company you want. It was the perfect way out. The chance to start over somewhere else, without the weight of shame. Harper should have been relieved, but instead, she felt something tightening in her chest. You want me to leave? Elliot looked her in the eyes. No, but I want you to be happy. And if staying here makes you unhappy, then I don't want you to stay. Harper bit her lip. He was being sincere. Completely, painfully sincere. I don't know what I want, she admitted, her voice low. That's okay. You don't need to decide now. Samantha came back at that moment, carrying 2 cups of coffee. She placed one in front of Harper and the other in front of Elliot. Coffee for the reconciliation, she announced. Or for Jessica's career funeral. Haven't decided which yet. Harper couldn't hold back the laugh. Sam, what? I'm just saying what everyone is thinking. Elliot almost smiled. Thank you, Miss Price. You're welcome, boss. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. Unlike you two who are here having a moment. She winked and walked away. Harper shook her head, but smiled for the first time in days. She's impossible. She's loyal, Elliot corrected. You're lucky to have a friend like that. I know. Elliot stood up, adjusting his jacket. I'll let you get back to work. But Harper? Yes. If you need anything, I'm here. She nodded, not trusting her own voice. Elliot walked back to the elevator. Harper remained seated, looking at the coffee Samantha had brought, processing everything. The truth had finally appeared. Elliot hadn't betrayed her trust. He had tried to protect her. But even knowing that, the pain was still there. The humiliation still burned. And Harper didn't know if she could simply forget and move on. Because some wounds, even when explained, left permanent scars. And Harper had the feeling that this one was going to take a long time to heal. Harper spent the following week doing exactly what Elliot asked. Working. Nothing more. Nothing less. Just working. She arrived on time, completed her tasks, answered emails, and left promptly at 5. No conversation. No jokes. No those moments filled with looks that had become so frequent before everything fell apart. Elliot noticed. Of course he noticed. On Thursday, he passed by her desk 3 times. All 3 times, Harper kept her eyes fixed on the computer screen, pretending to be completely absorbed in a data spreadsheet that she had already reviewed twice. On the 3rd pass, Samantha couldn't take it anymore. You're being cruel. Harper didn't take her eyes off the screen. I'm being professional. You're being distant. There's a difference. I don't see what it is. Samantha pulled up a chair and sat beside her. Harper, he proved he didn't spread the video. Jessica was reprimanded. The video was removed. What more do you want? Harper finally looked at Samantha. I want to understand why he was interested in me. What do you mean? It was because of the video, Sam. He saw that video and decided I was interesting. It wasn't because of my work. It wasn't because of my intelligence. It was because I was dancing happily in a bar. Samantha frowned. You're oversimplifying. Am I? Because it seems pretty simple to me. Without the video, I'd just be another invisible intern. You don't know that. Yes, I do. And you know what's worse? I started to like his attention. Started to think that maybe there was something real there. But there wasn't. It was just curiosity, entertainment. Harper, I need to work, Sam. Samantha sighed and went back to her own desk. Harper went back to looking at the screen, but the words still didn't make sense. Because the truth was that Harper didn't know what she felt. Anger? Sadness? Disappointment? All together? She only knew that keeping her distance seemed like the only safe thing to do. On Friday afternoon, Elliot finally took action. Harper was putting things away to leave when he appeared. Without warning, without beating around the bush, I need to talk to you. I'm leaving. You're not. It's still 4:50. Harper looked at the clock. He was right, 10 minutes to 5. I'm getting a head start. Harper, his voice came out firmer. Conference room, now. She thought about refusing, but there was something in his expression that made her hesitate. It wasn't anger. It was tiredness. The kind of tiredness that comes when someone has been trying for days and getting nowhere. 5 minutes, she gave in. They entered the nearest conference room. Elliot closed the door. Harper stayed near the exit, arms crossed. Go ahead. Elliot ran his hand through his hair, clearly frustrated. What did I do wrong? Harper blinked. What do you mean? I proved I didn't spread the video. I took action against whoever did. I removed the content. What else do you want me to do? Nothing. You did everything right. Then why are you avoiding me like I did something horrible? Harper looked away. I'm not avoiding you. You are, and I want to know why. Because. Harper took a deep breath. Because I need to understand something. What? She finally looked at him. Would you have been interested in me if it weren't for the video? Elliot was silent. The question clearly caught him off guard. Harper? Answer. Honestly, if I hadn't sent that video, would you have noticed I exist? You're being unfair. I'm being realistic. I'm just another intern. You're the CEO. Without that mistake, I would be invisible to you. Elliot took a step toward her. You're not invisible. But I was, until the video. The video caught my attention, he admitted, but that's not why I kept paying attention. Then why did you? Because you're smart, resilient, funny even under pressure. You don't give up, and you're not afraid to confront me when you think I'm wrong. Harper felt her chest tighten. Nice words, but how do I know they're true? Because if I were only interested in the video, I would have stopped paying attention weeks ago. But I didn't. He stopped, as if choosing his words carefully. I keep wanting to be near you, and it has nothing to do with that video. Harper bit her lip, feeling her eyes burn. I wanted to believe that. Then believe it. It's not that simple. Why not? Because I don't know who to trust anymore. Her voice came out louder than intended. I trusted Ellison, and he made a fool of me. I was starting to trust you, and then the video leaked, and I thought you had betrayed me. And now you're saying all the right things, but how do I know you won't end up hurting me again? Elliot stood there, hands in his pockets, eyes fixed on her. You don't know, he said simply. Nobody ever knows. Trusting someone is always a risk. Then why should I risk it? Because the alternative is to be alone, and protected, but also isolated. Harper wiped away a tear that had escaped. I don't want to get hurt again. I know, and I can't promise that will never happen, but I can promise I'll try not to be the cause of it. Silence, heavy, loaded. Harper wanted to believe, wanted so badly to believe. But the fear was bigger, the doubt was stronger. I need time, she said finally. Elliot nodded, even though he seemed disappointed. How much time? I don't know, just time. Okay. Harper turned to leave but stopped at the door. Elliot? It was the first time she called him by his first name. He noticed. His eyes lit up for a second. Yes? Thank you. For trying. He smiled. Sad, but genuine. Always. Harper left the room and returned to her desk, grabbed her bag, waved to Samantha, and left without looking back. On the way home, she felt the weight of the conversation pressing on her chest. Elliot had been honest, vulnerable, even. But the truth was that Harper still didn't know if she could separate his interest in the video from his interest in her as a person. And until she could, keeping her distance seemed like the only safe option. Even if it hurt, even if every day it became harder to pretend she didn't feel anything. Over the weekend, Harper avoided thinking about work, avoided thinking about Elliot, spent Saturday cleaning the apartment, and Sunday watching bad movies with Samantha. But on Monday, when she returned to the office, the atmosphere had changed. Elliot didn't pass by her desk, didn't send unnecessary emails, didn't ask for meetings. He left her alone, exactly as she had asked. And Harper discovered something terrible. Missing someone hurts much more when you yourself created the distance. The silence between them grew. The teasing disappeared. The looks, too. It was exactly what Harper had asked for, but it wasn't what she wanted. And somewhere, in the back of her mind, Harper knew. The distance wasn't going to last forever. Something was going to break. Someone was going to give in. The question was, who? And when? Harper's patience lasted exactly 12 days. 12 days of awkward silences. 12 days of cold emails. 12 days pretending she didn't feel the weight of Elliot's gaze every time he passed by in the hallway. And then, on Thursday afternoon, something broke. Harper was in the break room, waiting for the microwave to finish heating her lunch when Elliot walked in. Alone. Again. She didn't look at him. Kept her eyes fixed on the microwave's digital display as if it were the most fascinating thing in the world. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. 3 minutes and 39 seconds. 3 minutes and 38 seconds. Are you really going to keep ignoring me? Elliot's voice cut through the silence. Harper pressed her lips together. I'm not ignoring you. I'm being professional. Professional would be answering my emails in less than 12 hours. I do answer. With 1 word, sometimes 2 if I'm lucky. Harper finally looked at him. What do you want from me, Elliot? I want you to stop acting like I don't exist. I asked for time. You agreed. You asked for time to think. You didn't ask to treat me like a stranger. The microwave beeped. Harper grabbed the container, burned her fingers, let out a quiet curse, and put it back on the counter. Elliot grabbed a dish towel and extended it to her. Thank you, Harper murmured, taking the towel. You're welcome. Tense silence. Harper wrapped the towel around the container and tried to leave the break room. Elliot blocked the way. Move. No, Elliot. Harper, we need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. Yes, there is. There's the fact that you're running from me. There's the fact that I don't know what else to do to prove I care. And there's the fact that all this distance is driving me crazy. Harper felt something tighten in her chest. But anger came first. You're going crazy? You? What about me? How do you think I feel? I don't know. Because you won't talk to me. Because I don't know what to say. Her voice came out louder than intended. I don't know how to process this, Elliot. You're my boss. You have power over me. And at the same time, you're... I'm what? Confusing me. Elliot took a step toward her. How am I confusing you? Because you act like you care, but I never know if it's real or if it's just curiosity, entertainment, a game. A game? Elliot repeated, his voice low but loaded. You think this is a game to me? I don't know. I don't know what it is to you. It's real, he practically shouted. It's completely, absolutely real. Harper blinked, surprised by the intensity. Elliot ran his hand through his hair, clearly trying to control himself. You want to know the truth? I didn't plan this. Didn't plan to be interested in you. Didn't plan to lie awake at night thinking about how you smile when you're nervous. Didn't plan to feel this constant need to be near you. But it happened, and I don't know how to pretend it's not happening anymore. Harper felt the air leave her lungs. Elliot? And I know it's complicated. I know I'm your boss and there are rules and I should probably keep my distance. But I can't, because every time you look at me, every time you laugh at something I say, every time you challenge me, I feel that. That. He stopped, searching for the words. That what? Harper whispered. That I finally found someone who sees me. Not the CEO, not the billionaire, not the guy who built a company from scratch, just me. Harper felt her eyes burn, because she understood, completely, painfully. But you don't understand, she said, her voice trembling. You have all the power here. You decide if I stay or go. You decide if my career thrives or sinks. How do I know what you feel is real and not just abuse of power? Elliot completed bitterly. Is that what you think of me? No, that's not it. Then what is it? It's that I'm scared. Harper exploded. I'm scared to trust you and end up destroyed. I'm scared this is just a phase, and then you'll lose interest. I'm scared that in the end, I'm just another intern who made the mistake of thinking she was special. Elliot stood still, breathing heavily, eyes fixed on her. You are special. You don't know that. I do. Because I spent the last 2 months trying to find something wrong with you. Some reason to stop feeling what I'm feeling. And I didn't find it. You're stubborn, yes. Sometimes annoying, definitely challenging. But you're also brilliant, brave, and honest in a way that's rare. And I'm not saying this because I'm your boss. I'm saying it because it's true. Harper felt a tear roll down, wiped it quickly. What if it doesn't work out? Then it doesn't, but at least we tried. What about my job? Your job is yours, regardless of what happens between us, I swear. Harper wanted to believe, but the fear was so big, so consuming. I don't know if I can risk it. Elliot took a step back, hands returning to his pockets, the professional mask trying to return to its place. But it didn't stick, because now Harper could see through it, see the vulnerability, the insecurity, the pain. Then don't risk it, he said, his voice tired. I won't force you into anything, but I also can't keep going like this. Can't keep pretending everything's okay when it clearly isn't. What are you saying? I'm saying that maybe you're right. Maybe this was a mistake from the beginning. Maybe I confused attraction with something more. Maybe it would be better for both of us if we just stopped. Harper felt her heart drop. You want me to leave? No, but I want you to be happy. And if being near me makes you unhappy, then yes. Maybe it's better if you go. Are you firing me? I'm setting you free. Harper let out a humorless laugh. How generous. Harper, no. You know what's funny? You spent weeks telling me you care, that this is real, that I'm special. And at the first real difficulty, the first time I show insecurity, you throw it all away. You give up. I'm not giving up. Yes, you are. You're giving me an out because it's easier than fighting for what you say you feel. Elliot clenched his fists. And what do you want me to do? Beg? Insist until you truly hate me? I want you to be honest. Completely honest. Not this edited and controlled version you show everyone. You want honesty? Elliot took 2 steps toward her, his voice low but intense. Okay, honesty. I'm scared too. I'm scared you're right. That I only became interested in you because of the video. That this is superficial. That I'm going to mess everything up because I don't know how to do this right. I never knew how. All my previous relationships failed because I prioritized work, because I didn't know how to balance. And now there's you, and I want so badly to get it right, but I don't know how. And that terrifies me. Harper stood still, breathing hard, processing every word. Why didn't you say this before? Because I'm the CEO. I have to have the answers. I have to be in control. Admitting I don't know what I'm doing isn't something I do. Well, maybe you should, because that perfect and controlled version doesn't work with me. I noticed. Silence. Heavy, loaded. Harper wiped another tear. I don't know what to do. Me neither. They stood there, stopped in the middle of the break room, 2 meters apart that felt like miles. And then a voice so low that Harper almost didn't hear. Maybe we need to accept that this won't work. The words hit like a punch. Is that it then? Harper asked. We give up? Elliot didn't answer, just looked away. Harper grabbed the food container, walked past him, and left the break room. Her legs were shaking, her eyes were burning, her chest hurt in a way she didn't know was possible. When she returned to her desk, Samantha was waiting. What happened? It's over, Harper said simply, before it even really began. Harper. No, Sam, just don't. Harper sat down, opened the laptop, and pretended to work. But the words on the screen were a blur, because all she could think about was the expression on Elliot's face when he said that maybe it was better to give up. And the way she didn't fight against it. Because in the end, maybe they were both too cowardly to risk really getting hurt. The resignation letter was on Elliot's desk when he arrived Monday morning. Simple, direct, too professional to be anything but painful. Dear Mr. Sinclair, I hereby request my effective dismissal from the company with notice period as established in the contract. I appreciate the opportunity for learning and professional growth during the internship period. Sincerely, Harper Lane. Elliot read it 3 times, then sat in the chair and stared at the paper as if he could make the words change. She had left. Really left. He picked up the phone, dialed her number, went straight to voicemail, tried again, same result. Elliot put the phone down on the desk and ran his hands over his face. He had ruined everything, completely, irreversibly, and the worst part? He deserved it. 3 weeks dragged on like 3 years. Harper spent the first few days in the apartment, alternating between crying on the couch and sending resumes to any job opening that seemed remotely interesting. Samantha tried to cheer her up with pizza, ice cream, and marathons of bad movies, but nothing worked right. "You need to get out of this apartment," Samantha said on the 3rd Friday, forcefully opening the curtains. "You're starting to look like a vampire." "Vampires are cool. Depressed vampires aren't. Let's go. Park. Fresh air, now." "Sam, I really don't feel like it." "I didn't ask if you felt like it. I'm dragging you, literally if necessary." Harper sighed, defeated. 30 minutes later, she was walking through San Mateo's Central Park, wearing giant sunglasses and an expression that screamed, "Don't talk to me." The day was beautiful. Bright sun, blue sky, children running, couples strolling. Everyone seemed absurdly happy. Harper wanted to hate them all. "Breathe," Samantha instructed. "Feel the fresh air. Observe nature. Remember there's life beyond corporate offices." "You're starting to sound like a self-help manual." "I'm starting to sound desperate, because you're worrying me." Harper stopped walking and looked at her friend. "I'm sorry. I know I'm being difficult." "You're not being difficult. You're being human. But you also need to accept that staying locked up at home won't solve anything." "I know. It's just that it hurts, Sam. It hurts more than I expected." Samantha held her hand. "I know, but it will pass, I promise." Harper was about to respond when she saw something that made her freeze. Elliot Sinclair was 20 meters away, holding a bouquet of flowers and looking completely out of place in the middle of the park. "What?" Harper started, but then looked at Samantha. "You knew." Samantha gave a guilty smile. "Surprise?" "Samantha Price, I swear. Thank me later. Now go talk to him before he has a panic attack. Look at his face." Harper looked. Elliot really did look nervous. His hands were holding the flowers too tightly. His posture was tense. He looked like a teenager about to ask someone to the prom. "I can't believe you did this," Harper whispered. "Yes, you can. Now go. I'll be over there, pretending I'm not listening to everything." Samantha pushed Harper in Elliot's direction and walked away, pulling out her phone as if she were doing something important. Harper walked slowly. Each step felt like it weighed a ton. When she got close enough, she stopped. "Hi." Elliot turned his head. His eyes widened. "Harper, hi? You came." "Apparently I was ambushed by my best friend. I asked for her help. I hope you don't mind." "Still deciding." Awkward silence. Elliot looked at the flowers in his hand as if he had forgotten they were there. "These are for you. Sunflowers. I heard you like them." Harper took the bouquet, surprised. "How do you know that?" Samantha may have mentioned it several times, very insistently. Harper almost smiled. "She's subtle like that. She called me 3 times a week for the last 3 weeks saying I was a coward if I didn't come talk to you. She wasn't wrong." "I know." They stood there in the middle of the park, surrounded by people who went on with their normal lives, while the two of them tried to figure out how to fix something that seemed hopelessly broken. Elliot took a deep breath. "I ruined everything. We both ruined it." "No, it was me. I pushed you away, then pulled you close, then pushed you away again. I got scared, and instead of admitting it, I said maybe it was better to give up. And it was cowardly and cruel. And I'm sorry." Harper felt her eyes burn behind the sunglasses. "I ran away too. I asked for time and then used that time to build walls instead of processing my feelings. I blamed you for things that weren't your fault. And in the end, I left without even giving us a chance to really try. You had reasons. You did too." Elliot took a step closer. "Harper, I spent the last 3 weeks trying to convince myself it was better this way, that you deserved someone less complicated. Someone who wasn't your boss. Someone who knew how to make relationships work. But the truth is, I can't stop thinking about you. Can't stop wondering what if, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life wondering that." Harper took off the sunglasses, wiping away a tear that had escaped. "I can't stop thinking about you either, and it drives me crazy, because I'm supposed to be moving on, sending out resumes, starting over somewhere else, but all I can do is remember the way you smile when you're really relaxed, or how you always order caramel coffee even though you pretend you don't like sweet things, or how you really listen when I talk, even when I'm talking nonsense." Elliot laughed. Quietly, emotionally. "You never talk nonsense." "Yes, I do. All the time." "Interesting nonsense, then." Harper let out a wet laugh. "That was the strangest compliment I've ever received. I've never been good with words, only with numbers and business." "You're doing well now." Elliot took another step. Now he was close enough for Harper to feel his warmth. "Harper, I don't know how this is going to work. Don't know how to balance work and relationship. Don't know how to handle all the complication that comes with it. But I want to try. If you'll let me, if you want to try too." Harper looked at him, really looked, saw the fear in his eyes, the hope, the vulnerability he rarely showed to anyone. "I'm scared too," she admitted. "I'm scared of messing everything up again, of getting hurt, of hurting you, of finding out it doesn't work and losing you completely. Then we'll be scared together. Just that simple, just that complicated, but together." Harper felt something release in her chest, something that had been tight for weeks. "I'm not going back to the company." "I know, and that's okay. You don't need to. Samantha told me you're waiting to hear back from other positions. Good positions. You're going to get something amazing. What if I get something in another city? Then we figure out how to make it work long distance, or I open a branch there, or I simply visit you every weekend until you get tired of seeing me." Harper laughed. "You'd open a branch just to be close to me?" "I built a company from scratch. Opening a branch is easy. You're crazy. About you?" "Yes, completely." Harper shook her head, but she was smiling, really smiling. Okay. Let's try. With all the fear, with all the complication, let's try." Elliot smiled, that rare, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Really? Really, but with one condition." "What?" "No games, no tests, no pretending everything's okay when it's not. We talk, we're honest, always." "Deal. And you take me to dinner, a real dinner, where we don't talk about work." "I can do that. And you admit you like caramel coffee." Elliot laughed. "Now you're pushing it. Admit it." "Okay, I like caramel coffee." "Happy?" "Very." Elliot extended his hand. Harper looked at it, then at him, and instead of shaking it, pulled him into a hug. He wrapped his arms around her immediately, holding on as if afraid she would disappear again. "I missed you," he whispered. "Me too." They stayed like that for a long moment, in the middle of the park, while Samantha watched from a distance with a proud smile. When they finally separated, Harper wiped away her tears and laughed. "We're kind of dramatic, aren't we?" "A little? It's going to be work." "I know. But is it worth it?" Elliot took her hand. "It is. Completely." 1 year later, Harper opened the apartment door carrying shopping bags and laughing at something Elliot had just said on the phone. "No, you can't buy a new sofa just because the current one doesn't match the wall color. That's crazy." "It's design planning," his voice came through the speakerphone. "It's a waste of money. Says the woman who bought 4 pairs of shoes last month. They were on sale." "Of course they were." Harper smiled, placing the bags on the kitchen counter of the apartment she had rented by herself 6 months ago. It was small, but it was hers, earned with the salary from the new job she had gotten at a promising startup. "Are you still coming for dinner tonight?" she asked. "Already on my way. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Bring dessert." "I made food, you bring dessert. That's fair." "You made instant noodles, that doesn't count as real cooking." "Yes, it does. I even added vegetables this time." Elliot laughed. "Okay, dessert is guaranteed. I love you." Harper felt her heart warm up like it always did when he said that. "Love you too. Drive carefully." She hung up and looked around the apartment, small, messy, full of life. A year ago she was certain everything was over, that the video mistake had destroyed any chance of happiness. But she was wrong. The mistake hadn't destroyed anything. It had opened doors, it had shown truths, it had forced honesty, and in the end it had turned into the best beginning she could have asked for. The doorbell rang. Harper opened the door to find Elliot holding a box of sweets and smiling in that way that still gave her butterflies. "Hi." "Hi," she replied, pulling him inside and closing the door. And as they prepared dinner together, laughing at inside jokes and stealing kisses between one pot and another, Harper knew for certain, sometimes the best beginnings are born from the worst mistakes. And she wouldn't change anything. Absolutely nothing. And you, what did you think of Harper and Elliot's story? Do you think they really learned to lose their fear? Or did they just learn to be afraid together? Leave your opinion in the comments. On a scale of 0 to 10, what score would you give this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive more exciting stories like this one. See you next time.